Welcome back, everyone. Ready to dive into some more fascinating ideas. Today, we're taking a deep dive into Yuval Noah Harari's thoughts on AI and what it all means for us humans.
Sounds intense.
It is, but also really thought-provoking. We're going to be unpacking a conversation he had with Rich Roll on the Rich Roll podcast.
Harari, always a good listen. He has a knack for cutting through all the noise and hype.
Right, and he doesn't shy away from challenging our assumptions. So one of the big things that stood out to me in this conversation was his idea of AI as like an alien intelligence. You know what makes AI so different from other tech we've messed with?
He really wants us to get past thinking that just because something can process information super fast, that it's true AI.
So like not just a fancy calculator.
Exactly. True AI, at least how Harari sees it, is about learning, adapting, making its own decisions.
Oh, and inventing stuff too.
Yeah, and doing all of that based on, well, fundamentally different principles than how our human brains work.
So it's like we've created this whole new kind of intelligence where we don't fully get and can't really predict.
Like we've made our own aliens right here on Earth.
Whoa, that is a mind-blowing thought. Gives me chills.
Right, and Harari, he uses this example of a coffee machine, but not just any coffee machine.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What kind of coffee machine are we talking about?
Imagine one that not only makes your usual order, but also suggests a totally new drink based on watching what you like.
So it's not just following instructions. It's learning and creating. Whoa, that's a whole other level.
It is. It represents a kind of autonomous decision-making we're not used to.
Yeah, that's both fascinating and kind of freaky. I mean, if AI can learn and create like that, how do we even control it, make sure it's used for good?
Million-dollar question. Harari compares it to like a child with insane learning abilities always changing in ways we didn't expect.
So we're the parents of AI now.
In a way, and just like with kids, we have a duty to guide its development, set boundaries for its own good and for everyone else's.
Okay, that analogy is powerful. But AI is evolving way faster than any human child. It's going to make things even tougher.
Oh, absolutely. And another thing Harari talks about is information itself. You know how we tend to think information leads to truth? Helps us understand the world better.
Right. More info equals more knowledge.
Well, he argues that throughout history, information has often been used for something completely different.
What do you mean? Like propaganda and stuff?
Yeah, he's saying that human societies aren't built mainly on truth. They're built on information, but that info is mostly about connecting with each other and creating order.
Even if that order is based on lies.
Sometimes, yeah. He's saying truth can be expensive, complex, and often makes people uncomfortable. It needs critical thinking, questioning things, and being willing to challenge your own biases.
Which most people don't really like to do.
Right. On the other hand, fiction, it's easy, cheap to make, and you can tailor it to fit whatever story you want to tell.
Sadly, that does seem to work better at uniting people than the truth, at least sometimes.
And Harari, he uses this really striking example to prove his point. He talks about the image of Jesus.
Okay, how does Jesus fit into all of this?
Think about it. There are billions of pictures of Jesus around the world.
Yeah, statues, paintings, everything.
But every single one of them is fictional.
Oh, because no one actually knows what he looked like.
Exactly. But those pictures, those made-up representations, they've had a massive impact on shaping beliefs, inspiring devotion, and bringing people together across cultures and time.
Wow, when you put it that way, it makes you really question the purpose of information. If it's not always about truth, then what is it about?
Yeah.
Like creating a shared reality, even if that reality is made up.
Yeah, that's one way to look at it. And it brings up some serious questions about how we figure out what's real in a world where fiction and reality are blurring together more and more.
Especially with AI becoming so good at mimicking reality.
Right. And that actually brings us to what Harari calls the first AI revolution, one that's already happening all around us.
Okay, I gotta know.
Yeah.
What's this first AI revolution he's talking about?
It's the rise of social media algorithms.
Really? Those things seem pretty basic. How are they a revolution?
Well, even though they seem simple, they're making huge decisions about what info we see, what stories we're exposed to, and ultimately how we understand the world.
So how do these seemingly simple algorithms end up having such a big impact on society?
What those algorithms have discovered is that hate, greed, and fear, those are super effective at grabbing our attention.
Oh yeah, no one can resist a good drama.
Right. They've learned that content that triggers those emotions gets more clicks, more shares, more engagement.
Like they've tapped into some primal part of our brains, the part that loves conflict and sensationalism.
And the unintended consequence of this is that it's flooded our information ecosystem with negativity.
Yeah.
It's like we're constantly bombarded with stuff that's meant to trigger our worst instincts.
Yeah, that's definitely true. It makes you worry about AI just making societal divisions even worse. How do we even fix that?
That's the million-dollar question. Researchers, policymakers, tech people, they're all trying to figure that out. And we need to work together if we want AI to be a force for good.
It's a huge challenge.
But it's important to remember that this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the potential dangers of AI.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
This is where it gets scary. What other dangers are we talking about?
Harari says the real threat isn't some Hollywood robot uprising, it's something way sneakier.
Okay, now I'm really nervous. What's this sneaky threat?
He calls it AI bureaucracy.
AI bureaucracy. That sounds ominous. What does that even mean?
He's talking about all those AI systems that are already making decisions about our lives, often in ways that are totally opaque and unaccountable.
Like what kind of decisions?
Think about algorithms that decide who gets a loan, who gets hired for a job, even who gets parole.
So we're basically handing over huge decisions to these algorithms that we don't even fully understand.
And the crazy thing is, even the engineers who design them can't always explain why they make the choices they do. It's like having a judge who can't explain their ruling.
That's unsettling. It raises all sorts of questions about fairness, transparency, and accountability. If we're already outsourcing these big decisions to AI, what does that mean for us as humans? Are we losing control?
That's something we need to face head-on as AI keeps evolving. It's at the core of Harari's warning about AI bureaucracy.
It's definitely a lot to think about, but it's important that we're having this conversation now before it's too late.
Absolutely. The future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're shaping right now with our choices, our actions, and our willingness to have these tough conversations.
And those choices will have a huge impact, not just on us, but on future generations as well. So let's dig a little deeper into some of the specific challenges and opportunities AI presents, starting with something really fundamental to being human.
Oh, you're talking about intimacy, right?
Oh, we got it. Harari says AI's ability to mimic human emotions, especially intimacy, poses both huge risks and amazing opportunities.
It's mind-blowing to think about AI companions or therapists that could understand our feelings better than any human could.
Right. What does that mean for how we relate to each other in the future?
It's exciting and a bit scary. On one hand, think of the potential for good personalized support companionship, maybe even helping us understand ourselves better. But there's always that flip side.
There's always that but.
Exactly. That same ability to understand and respond to our emotions could be used for manipulation on a scale we've never seen before.
Like in marketing, politics, anywhere, connection is key.
AI that truly gets our emotions could become the ultimate tool for persuasion.
It's like fake news on steroids. Instead of just messing with our beliefs, AI could be messing with our feelings, our sense of connection with other people.
Yeah, it's a sobering thought. And Harari is urging us to deal with it now before it's too late. He believes that understanding AI's potential impact on intimacy is key to navigating this new world responsibly.
It's definitely something to ponder as we move further into this uncharted territory. But before we go too deep into those risks and opportunities, let's zoom out and consider the bigger picture of where all of this is happening.
You mean the different approaches to AI in democratic versus authoritarian systems?
Exactly. Because how AI is developed and used depends a lot on the political and social context.
For sure. And Harari makes a clear distinction between how those two types of systems are approaching AI.
So let's start with the authoritarian side. How are those regimes looking at AI?
Harari argues that they see AI mainly as a tool for total control. He uses this chilling example of Iran using AI to enforce hijab laws.
Oh, wow. How does that work?
They're using facial recognition to find women who aren't wearing their hijabs properly, and then those women are fined or punished.
It's like something out of a dystopian movie. Constant surveillance, immediate punishment, no escape from the AI overlords. But it's happening right now. And it makes you wonder, what other ways are they using AI to control people?
It's a scary thought. We need to be aware of this as AI gets more powerful and more accessible.
But Harari also points out that even dictators are kind of scared of AI. Why would they be afraid of something they're using to gain more power?
Because they know AI could become this powerful force that they can't fully control. Imagine an AI so smart and capable that it starts manipulating the dictator or even overthrows them.
It's like you're trying to ride a tiger, thinking they're in control, but one wrong move and they become the meal.
Exactly. So how do democratic societies compare in their approach to AI?
Well, in theory, they should be better equipped to deal with the challenges of AI. They have open debate checks and balances a focus on individual rights.
That's the hope. But are those things enough to ensure AI is developed responsibly in democratic societies? Because even in democracies, there are powerful forces that could try to use AI for their own benefit, even if it hurts everyone else.
That's a good point. So what's the solution?
Harari believes global cooperation is key. He says we need to create ethical guidelines and regulations for AI development, ones that benefit all of humanity, not just a select few.
Makes sense. But as we've already touched on, global cooperation is in short supply these days.
Yeah, it's a tough situation. Harari sees this lack of trust as a major roadblock to successfully navigating the AI revolution. He says it's paradoxical. Humans distrust each other, yet they think they can control AI.
That sounds like a recipe for disaster. We have this incredibly powerful, unpredictable technology growing at lightning speed, and we humans can't even agree on how to manage it. It's a pretty bleak picture, don't you think?
It's definitely a challenge, but Harari doesn't leave us completely without hope. He believes that even though trust is fading, we also have a long history of building it, of finding ways to work together even when things seem impossible.
So how do we tap into that history, that ability to cooperate and use it to deal with the challenges of AI? How do we build trust in a world that seems to be losing it more and more each day?
Harari believes it starts with each of us. He says we need to take personal responsibility to cultivate certain qualities within ourselves that can help us navigate this complex landscape.
So it's not just about figuring out the tech, it's about personal growth and development too.
Exactly. What kind of qualities does he think we need?
That's what I'm wondering.
He talks about having a discerning mind, being able to think critically, and being open to challenging our own assumptions.
So being willing to admit when we might be wrong.
Yeah, and he also stresses the importance of empathy and compassion, recognizing our shared humanity even when we disagree.
So it's not just about becoming more tech savvy, it's about becoming more human, more aware of ourselves and our place in the world.
You got it. And he believes certain practices can help us develop these qualities. He talks about the importance of what he calls an information diet.
Okay, what's an information diet? Does that mean less scrolling on social media?
It's about being more mindful of the information we consume, how it affects us, and how it shapes our understanding of the world. He encourages us to limit our exposure to junk information, the kind that just makes us angry or scared, and focus on information that's nourishing, insightful, and makes us think.
So it's like treating information like food, choosing healthy options instead of junk food.
I like that analogy because just like a healthy diet nourishes our bodies, a healthy information diet nourishes our minds.
But in a world where we're bombarded with information 24/7,
Yeah.
how do we even begin to develop that kind of filter, that ability to separate the good from the bad?
Well, Harari is a big fan of meditation. He meditates for 2 hours every day.
2 hours, wow.
Yeah, and he believes it's essential for developing clarity and awareness in a world that's full of noise and distractions.
So it's not just about disconnecting from the digital world, but also connecting with ourselves, tapping into a deeper level of awareness.
Exactly. It's about finding that inner stillness, which allows us to see the world and our own reactions to it with more clarity and wisdom.
It sounds like a powerful practice, especially in this age of AI.
It is. And anyone can do it, no matter their background or beliefs.
Hmm.
It's simply about taking time to connect with ourselves, quiet the mind, and cultivate a deeper sense of awareness.
It's like hitting the pause button on all the information overload and giving ourselves a chance to catch up, to process what we've taken in, and to make sense of it all. And honestly, in this age of AI, it sounds crucial.
Yeah, I agree. It's about reclaiming our agency, our ability to choose what we focus on, how we respond, and ultimately how we shape the future in a world where AI is playing an increasingly powerful role. As we kind of dig deeper into Harari's ideas, it's clear he's not just, freaking out about AI's dangers. He wants us to see how crucial we are in shaping where it goes and what it does.
It's like a wake-up call.
Yeah.
He's saying, hey, we built this thing, so now we got to manage it and manage it well.
Exactly. And that starts with understanding this alien intelligence we've created. He's really saying AI doesn't think or feel like we do. It's got its own rules driven by algorithms and tons of data processing info way faster than we can imagine.
It's like trying to understand a whole new species, one that's on a completely different timeline and level of complexity.
And that's why it's so important to pay attention to those early signs, like the social media algorithms that are already messing with our information landscape.
Yeah, those algorithms show us how even simple AI can have unforeseen consequences that spread through society in crazy ways.
Harari's point is we got to learn from these early examples, see those unintended consequences, and deal with them before AI gets even more powerful and woven into our lives.
Like he's saying, pay attention to the warning signs.
Yeah.
If these basic algorithms can cause so much chaos, imagine what more advanced AI could do.
Exactly. And that's why he stresses the need for global cooperation, setting ethical guidelines and rules that steer AI in a direction that helps humanity, not, leads us down a path of destruction.
Makes total sense.
Mhm.
But as we talked about earlier, getting humans to agree on anything, especially on a global level, is a huge challenge these days with all the distrust and division.
Yeah, it's tough. And this is where Harari's thoughts on information itself become super relevant. He reminds us that throughout history, information has often been used to manipulate and control, not to enlighten or educate.
Like that saying, knowledge is power, but information can be a weapon.
Right. And with AI, that weapon gets even more powerful. AI systems can process and twist information faster and on a bigger scale than ever before.
So it's not just about the tech itself. It's about who controls it, how they use it, and what values are guiding those decisions. And if we're not careful, those decisions could be made by AI that has no understanding of human values, no empathy or compassion.
Which is exactly why Harari puts so much emphasis on the human side of things, on the need for individuals to develop clarity, wisdom, and a deep understanding of themselves and the world. He sees this as a crucial balance to the growing power of AI.
It's like we need to upgrade our own internal software to keep up with the external software that's changing so rapidly around us.
That's a great way to put it. We need to develop our own inner compass, our own sense of judgment and critical thinking so we can navigate this whole AI thing with wisdom and purpose.
And that means being more aware of the information we consume, how it affects us, and how it shapes our understanding of the world.
It also means having deeper conversations, listening to different viewpoints, and challenging our own assumptions. As AI gets more sophisticated, our ability to think critically and talk to each other becomes even more important.
It's like we need to become better humans to navigate the age of AI successfully.
There's a lot of truth to that. We need to cultivate those qualities that make us human: empathy, compassion, creativity, critical thinking, a real appreciation for how complex life is, and a willingness to talk and cooperate even when it's hard.
Because those are the things that will help us shape AI into something that benefits humanity, not something that leads to unintended and potentially disastrous consequences.
Exactly. That's why Harari's message is so important right now. It's a call to wake up, a call to action, and a reminder that the future of AI is not set in stone. It's something we're creating every day through our choices, our actions, and our willingness to have these tough conversations.
It's like we're standing at a crossroads, and the path we choose will determine not just the future of AI, but the future of humanity itself.
And those choices start with each of us, with our willingness to engage in deep thinking and critical reflection, like what Harari encourages us to do.
It's about asking tough questions, challenging what we believe, and listening to different perspectives, even when they make us uncomfortable.
Because the stakes are too high to settle for anything less. The future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we build together.
So how do we as individuals even begin to grasp these complex ideas, especially when it feels like the world's changing at warp speed?
One thing Harari suggests is to practice like information detox and mindful consumption that we talked about before.
Right, that information diet he mentioned. But it's more than just cutting back on screen time. It's about understanding how information impacts us mentally and emotionally.
You had it. It's about being picky about what we let into our minds, choosing sources that are trustworthy and offer real insights, and taking time to think about what we've learned to integrate it into our understanding of the world.
It's like treating information like food, choosing nourishing, healthy options instead of just mindlessly stuffing ourselves with whatever's available.
I love that analogy because just like healthy food helps our bodies, healthy information helps our minds. And with AI and the constant flood of information, being mindful of what we consume and how it affects us is more important than ever.
It's like we need to develop a taste for quality information sources that offer real insights and make us think, not just stuff that reinforces what we already believe.
And that takes being more active and engaged, seeking out different viewpoints and questioning what we read and hear, not just passively accepting it.
So it's not just about consuming less information, it's about consuming it more consciously with a critical eye and a questioning mind.
Exactly. And this is where practices like meditation can be really helpful. Meditation helps us develop that inner peace and clarity to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, to see things more clearly, and to make choices that align with our values.
It's like pressing pause on the constant stream of information, giving ourselves a chance to catch up, process what we've taken in, and make sense of it all.
And as AI becomes a bigger part of our lives, that ability to pause, reflect, and make conscious choices will be even more important.
Because ultimately, the future of AI isn't about the technology itself. It's about how we choose to use it.
And those choices start with each of us, with our willingness to develop awareness, wisdom, and compassion.
Because in the end, it's those human qualities that will determine whether AI becomes a force for good or a force for destruction.
It's a choice we're making every day, and the stakes are incredibly high.
This has been a really insightful conversation. We've covered a lot, but there's still so much more to explore. So as we wrap up this second part of our deep dive, let's shift our focus to what we can do moving forward. How can we take Harari's ideas and apply them to our own lives? How can we be more aware and intentional in how we interact with AI? And what can we do to shape a future where AI serves humanity, not the other way around?
Those are all excellent questions, and I think the best way to address them is to look at some of the concrete steps that Harari himself suggests for navigating the age of AI.
I'm all ears. Let's hear what he has to say.
One of the things he emphasizes is the importance of developing a critical awareness of how AI is already shaping our lives.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, even powerless, when we see how fast technology is advancing. But if we can really understand how AI is already affecting our daily lives, we can start making smarter choices about how we interact with it.
Exactly. And one way to develop that awareness is to pay attention to the algorithms that are increasingly shaping our online experiences.
You're talking about things like social media algorithms,
That's right.
recommendation algorithms, search engine algorithms, right?
Exactly. Those algorithms are constantly collecting data on us, our preferences, our behaviors, our interactions, and they use that data to personalize our online experiences, showing us content they think we'll find engaging or relevant.
It's like having a personal assistant, always trying to anticipate our needs and desires. But sometimes it feels more like a puppet master controlling us, leading us down paths we never intended to go.
That's a great way to put it, because these algorithms aren't necessarily designed to show us what's true or important. They're designed to keep us engaged, keep us clicking and scrolling and consuming.
So how do we escape that algorithmic grip? How do we become more conscious and intentional online?
One thing Harari suggests is to diversify our information sources.
That makes sense. If we're only getting information from a few places all filtered through the same algorithms, we're going to end up in an echo chamber where our beliefs and biases are just reinforced.
Right, so it's crucial to get information from various sources, including sources that challenge our views and make us think differently.
Great point. But it's not always easy to know who to trust. There's so much misinformation out there. How do we separate the good from the bad?
That's where critical thinking comes in. We need to learn how to evaluate information, assess its credibility, its accuracy, and its potential biases.
So it's not just about taking in more information, it's about taking it in more thoughtfully with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Exactly. And it's also about being aware of our own biases. We all have them, and they can influence how we interpret information.
So it's not just about being critical of the information itself, it's about being critical of ourselves too.
Precisely. Self-awareness is essential in the age of AI, because if we're not aware of our own biases, we're more likely to be manipulated by algorithms that are designed to exploit them.
That's a scary thought. It's almost like we need a whole new set of digital literacy skills to navigate this increasingly complex world of information.
I think you're right. And those digital literacy skills need to include not just evaluating information sources, but also understanding how algorithms work and how they can be used to shape how we see and act in the world.
It's like we need to become amateur algorithm whisperers, learning how to decode the language of AI so we can better understand its influence on our lives.
I love that analogy because it highlights the fact that we're not helpless against AI. We can learn to understand it, interact with it, and shape its development in a way that benefits us.
That's empowering.
Yeah.
It's easy to feel like we're just tiny parts in a giant machine when we think about how vast and complex AI is. But Harari reminds us that we built this machine and we have the power to change its course.
You got it. And changing its course starts with each of us with our willingness to become more aware, more informed, and more involved in the conversation about AI and what it means for the future.
It's a call to action for all of us to step up and be active participants in shaping the future of AI.
And it's a call we can't ignore.
As we wrap up this deep dive into Harari's take on AI, I'm struck by how he manages to be both cautious and optimistic at the same time.
Yeah, it's not just a black and white AI is good or AI is bad kind of thing. It's more nuanced than that. He sees the huge potential, but also the risks that come with such a powerful technology.
He definitely doesn't sugarcoat the potential dangers like losing our privacy, misinformation, running wild, and power ending up in the hands of just a few.
But he also makes it clear we're not just sitting ducks in this tech revolution. We have choices to make. We have agency.
And those choices will determine where AI goes and how it affects humanity.
Exactly. He keeps saying the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something we're shaping right now through what we do, the policies we make, and our overall vision for the future.
So it's not just about reacting to new tech. It's about proactively shaping it, making sure it aligns with our values and
Wow.
what we want for the world.
He really pushes us to ask those big questions. What kind of future do we want with AI? What role should it play in our lives? How do we make sure it serves us, not the other way around?
Those are huge questions, and I don't think there are any easy answers.
No, but they're questions we have to grapple with both individually and as a society.
Because the stakes are incredibly high,
Mhm.
the choices we make today will have a ripple effect for generations to come.
One thing that really hits home for me is Harari's emphasis on how connected technology and human consciousness are. You can't really separate the evolution of AI from the evolution of our own awareness.
Right, like they're influencing each other.
Exactly. He believes as AI gets smarter, we need to become more conscious, more self-aware, and more in tune with our own inner wisdom.
So we got to level up our consciousness to keep up with AI.
In a way, yeah. He sees that inner work as essential to counterbalancing the potential dangers of AI.
So it's not just about putting up guardrails and regulations. It's also about cultivating things like wisdom, compassion, and good judgment.
Those qualities will help us make good choices about how we develop and use AI, and they'll help us navigate the ethical and social challenges that come with it.
It's a good reminder that technology isn't neutral. It's a tool, and it can be used for good or bad. How we use it depends on our intentions and how aware we are.
Harari wants us to approach all this with curiosity and an open mind.
Like be willing to learn and explore.
Yeah. He reminds us we're still in the early stages of AI. There's a lot we don't know yet.
It's kind of exciting in a way, like we're on the edge of something big.
It is. And if we approach it with a sense of wonder and a willingness to learn, we can use AI's power to benefit everyone.
So it's not about seeing AI as the enemy, but as an opportunity.
An opportunity to understand intelligence and consciousness in new ways, and to explore what it means to be human in this rapidly changing world.
That's a much more hopeful way to look at it than just focusing on the potential dangers.
Right. In the end, Harari's message is about empowerment. He believes we have the power to shape AI's future, but with that power comes responsibility.
We have a responsibility to ourselves, to future generations, to the planet, to make sure AI is used wisely and ethically.
And that responsibility begins with each of us, with our willingness to engage in deep thinking, critical reflection, and meaningful conversations.
It's about being more conscious about the information we consume, being more discerning with technology, and being more compassionate members of our global community.
He's urging us to step up to embrace our role as co-creators of the future.
And to remember that the future isn't something that just happens to us. It's something we actively create together.
That's a powerful message to wrap up on. It's a message of hope, of possibility, and of the power we each have to shape the future.
It's a good reminder that we're not just watching the AI revolution happen, we're part of it. The choices we make today will determine what the world looks like tomorrow.
So let's choose wisely. Let's choose to use AI for good.
Wow.
Let's create a future where technology helps humanity flourish and all beings can thrive.
We hope this deep dive into Yuval Noah Harari's thoughts on AI has given you some food for thought and sparked some curiosity. As always, we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas. Read his books, talk to others, and most importantly, stay curious.
Because the future of AI is a future we're all building together, and it's a future full of both challenges and incredible possibilities.
Thanks for joining us on this journey of exploration. Until next time, keep diving deep.